So yeah, welcome to the President's Day, February 16th live stream, the AMA. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me whatever or let me know whatever. This is just a place to hang out and not think about the world for an hour. Um, and so yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. We announced the couple of shows that we're playing with Jimmy Eat World and Sunny Day Real Estate on, which is kind of crazy, including playing at Red Rocks, which is somewhere I've never been before, but have always like it's one of those like bucket list kind of places to play. Um, and so a lot of people have been telling us that they're kind of flying in and stuff like that for that show. And then we're playing in Chicago. Okay, first of all, I want to tell you that when we got the Jimmy Eat World offer, we were like, yeah, that sounds great. And they're like, you're gonna be the first of three. And we're like, okay, that's cool. And we're like, who's the other band, the middle band? And they wouldn't tell us. They didn't know. And then it wasn't until the show got announced that we found out it was fucking Sunny Day Real Estate. So that's kind of crazy. And then we knew we were the main support on the New York show, and we didn't know who the opening band was. And it turns out it's Hey Mercedes, which is great too, because it's like all. I mean, I've only met the Sunny Day guys the one time we played with them in Austin for South by Southwest, and they were like super super nice. And we have some mutual friends, but like Hey Mercedes, 3/4 of Hey Mercedes were in Braid, who we went on our very first tour with, and then Jimmy Eat World, we went on Jesus, our third tour with maybe. The first time we toured, the only time we ever really toured together like properly was at the end of 1997, which is kind of crazy. Oh God, there's a really good story about playing in Flint, Michigan with them in the middle of a blizzard, but that's a story for another time. Maybe I'll tell that story when the show in Detroit. Well, it's in Ferndale. Ferndale? Yeah, Michigan. I'll tell that story on one of the drive-in talks. But yeah, so that's been going on. It's a week until the tour starts. We leave a week from tomorrow to drive out to Phoenix, home of Jimmy World, of all things, and then we start the West Coast tour, which is it's picking up. It's interesting to see how you know club tours. I haven't done like a small club tour in a long time because usually when I've done solo stuff, it's been house shows the last couple of years. So it's interesting to see um, kind of the difference in the way people buy tickets for stuff like this. Because I think for the house shows, because it's so limited, like it's only 30 to 50 people total, that people buy tickets in advance more. Whereas for these club shows, because these rooms hold, I don't know, 150, 200 people, which I don't know that we'll get to that point, but it was like, I think more people are just going to like buy tickets at the door, which is totally fine. It just kind of makes for, uh, it's just sort of an interesting thing to sort of observe. So that's going good. What else is going on? I started doing the Substack where I'm doing these deep dives into New Amsterdam songs. So I've decided that the Substack, at least the worse for the wear version of the Substack, is going to be deep dives about the New Amsterdams, which, what's kind of interesting is I realized when I wrote the bio for it that that band was only around for 7 years, which is a kind of, it started in 2000 and ended in 2007. Yeah, maybe 2008, so maybe 8 years, but the last record came out in 2007, so that's just kind of a crazy thing to think about because it feels like it was such a really big part of my life, um, for many, many years. But so that's where we're at. That's where I'm at. So, uh, I'm gonna go and take your questions. I'm gonna start with the Substack, and there are no questions, so we'll go to the Instagram, and we'll go to the top and see what people want to know. Coming to see you guys at Red Rocks. Cool. So am I. Missed the podcast, especially with James. James and I don't talk anymore. And I did a podcast for about 2 years from 2012 to 2014 where I was talking to my friends in other bands. And I don't know that I would do that again. I don't know, or at least not as far as like interviewing people, because it seems like the the kind of lead singer interviews other people in bands thing is sort of overdone at this point. But, that's all right. Saw you guys in Coney Island High in 1999. First Brazilian tour last week. Plans to come south of the wall again. Oh, I like the way you put that. So we did South America. That's where we started, South and Latin America, or as Benito would say, the Americas, all of the Americas. God bless Americas. We started the Something Right Home About tour there. In our first show was in Rio, and we did Rio, Sao Paulo, Santiago, Mexico City, and Monterrey were the places that we did. And that was the first shows we did on that tour. And that was in August of 2024. So yeah, I don't know when we would be back. It probably wouldn't be for a while. There's no Get Up Kids shows on the books right now, other than these Jimmy World dates and then like some kind of pickup things in Europe when we're over there with them. I know we're playing a festival in I don't know if those have been announced yet, so I don't know if I can say we're gonna play a couple other shows in Europe when we're over there. I'm pretty sure. I'm just not entirely sure where or which ones have been announced. So, but yeah, I mean, we've been to South America, Latin America, the Americas twice, and it was a really good time both times. So I imagine we would be back. Hey Mercedes is so good, never got the love they deserve. Hey Mercedes, I think, is having a resurgence because Paula Vinyl just put out they re-released their LPs, and I one of those bands the same way that like uh the way like people like rediscovered like American football and stuff like after the fact. I think people are starting to like really rediscover Hey Mercedes and how good that they were or are actually. So excited for the Brooklyn show. I'm flying in from California just to go to it. Cool, man. So I am too, but I think I'm flying in from Kansas. My fiance commissioned a song for me for my birthday a little over a year ago. My puzzle piece. Hearing you sing my name was the best gift. Thank you. Oh, you're quite welcome. I appreciate you telling me that you like the song. Uh sometimes when I do custom songs for people, which is something you can order from my website, people just tell me that I wrote them a song and they forget to tell me whether they liked it or not. And so I'm always a little kind of confused whenever that happens. But so I appreciate you telling me that you liked it. Hoping to see you in San Francisco. I need to say goodbye to Bottom of the Hill. Yeah. So I've actually been thinking about that a lot because, along with this uh, sort of like just observing the way that like people buy tickets for club shows and just the way the club show thing kind of operates now. Cause it's been like almost 10 years since I've done small club shows like solo and as opposed to just doing house shows. It's kind of strange to see that a lot of these classic places are starting to close, like Chain Reaction closed and Bottom of the Hill is closing, and places that I've played at for decades. It's crazy, but it's um, I'm excited to get to play at Bottom. I'm glad that I get to play at Bottom of the Hill one last time, and I'm glad that I get to bring my kids with me because they've actually both been to Bottom of the Hill before, though I don't know if they remember it. Lily might, but I don't think Jersey will because when we did the Where's the Band tour there, he was 3, I think, 4, 5, something like that. He was very young, but this time he should remember it. And so I'm excited. I feel like I'm kind of like they get to experience it like as adults, which I think is really cool because it's like that's where when I was their age, I started playing at Bottom of the Hill. So I'm excited to kind of like have that moment with them. Met you and your wife when doing a street team in St. Louis. Coheed ended up opening for you and you were shocked. I don't. So Coheed and Cambria opened for us at Mississippi Nights in St. Louis, kind of around the time I think. I don't know if it was when their first record came out, but it was pretty early on before they had really like they were kind of on the coming up sort of thing. And so they were opening for us. And I don't think I was shocked. I didn't know who they were. And they're a lot heavier. I mean, they're melodic, but they're heavier than the bands we usually play with. And I think if it's entirely possible if you met me and my wife in St. Louis at that show, it wasn't that we were shocked, it's that we were drunk. So there you go. What's your favorite song from Guilt Show? Guilt Show's Guilt Show's got a lot of songs that I like. If I had to pick one, I would say it's The Dark Night of the Soul or Dark Night of the Soul. I don't think it has a the at the top, but it's one of those songs that like I think is a really cool arrangement and also is pretty meaningful like lyrically to me. It's a song about the sort of like hitting rock bottom. It's one of those ones that are a lot of things on that record that are sort of like predictive of later in life. It's like my subconscious was writing songs about myself, but I wouldn't realize, you know, those wouldn't come to pass until 20 years later when I got sober. So, what are some of your favorite songs to perform live? I don't know, man. Like, usually the answer to that question, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn by saying that this is probably the answer that any musician or any performer will tell you is that your favorite song to perform live is the newest one because it's the most fresh and it's the most, you know, there are songs that I can play with my eyes closed and one hand tied behind my back, and it's not there's no like excitement in the actual performing of it for myself. What I get excitement from in the show when I play old songs is I'm reacting to the enthusiasm of the audience, hopefully, assuming they're not just standing there like this. But usually my favorite song to play is the newest one. Although on this upcoming tour, I have found that even playing the old songs, like the old New Am songs that I'm kind of not sick of, but just like have played a lot, have a new life sort of breathed into them by playing them with Lily and Jersey, my two of my kids. So it comes, it's sort of like it's almost like a reinterpretation, even though it's not like I didn't change the songs drastically, but just having them there and having their I guess influence on the songs is the way to put it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. With having so many bands, do you ever confuse which song goes to which band? Not anymore. It used to be that when I was there were a couple times when I had made decisions to like put one song with one band or not. Like Overdue comes to mind because I had intended that to be a New Amsterdam song, and I think that if you listen to it in and of itself, you can kind of hear that. But I thought it was a good song, and I wanted it to have the broadest reach, and so that's why it ended up. That is why I wanted to submit it as a Get Up Kid song. It ended up being a Get Up Kid song because the band liked it, and you know we worked it out. Anymore, the band writes collectively, where we get together and sort of jam things out, and then for my solo projects, I write individually, and that's kind of how I separate the two now. But ultimately, I end up writing based on whatever the current project is. So, like when I was writing my new solo record, The Salton Sea, that came out in November, it was like I sat down and wrote it. And it was like I didn't write anything else during that time period. And that seems to work well for me. Um do, 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 do. Are you going to release your set list for the Jimmy Eat World Tour? Uh I don't have any idea what it's gonna be. So uh the only thing we've discussed on that is that we want to play some a more like wider swath of our catalog because we've been playing something at home about for a year and a half, and so we want to. It's not that we don't want to play any of those songs. It's just that we want to like not exclusively play those songs. So that's the only thing we've really discussed in that regard. Uh, we don't usually like publish set lists, not for any real reason, but you can usually find them after we play. Is there any song in your catalog you thought was a surefire hit, but it didn't happen? Oh, fuck yeah, all the time. Um, usually songs that I get, like, really excited about tend to be kind of the weirder ones. Surefire hit is an interesting, concept because, like, what's your definition of a hit? It's sort of like we my band or my solo stuff doesn't really get played on the radio, and it's not like, a hit in the traditional sense of, like, if you think of someone like a pop star, like a, Charlie XCX song, those are hits. Those are like top 40 hits. Like songs that people like, uh, I don't know that I think there's something that's kind of nice about not thinking about things that way in terms of like, uh, quote unquote hits, because it's just sort of like I write what I like, the band writes what the band likes, and if you like the same kind of music that we like or that I like, then people tend to enjoy what we do. And that seems to like extrapolate, hopefully more and more people do that. As far as like songs of ours that become popular that I didn't think were going to, I always point to Mass Pike because I think that song was just kind of a throwaway and now it's like people's favorite. But then, like, the songs that are like, I brought up Dark Night of the Soul earlier when we were talking about Guilt Show, and, like, that's a song that's, like, pretty dark and pretty obtuse, but I think is really, really great. And so, but no one requests it, which is kind of interesting. Do. Few years back, you recorded a song shop of the song Ladybug. My niece is now 7, and it's still her favorite song. We pressed it to vinyl, and she plays it constantly. Highly recommend the song shops. Oh, thank you very much. Um, yeah, if you would like to get a custom song written by me for you or for your child. I mean, I did 2 albums when my kids were little called The Terrible Twos that were like songs about my kids and bugs and dinosaurs and stuff. And so writing songs about children, like almost like a personal sort of gift for them when they're born or for a birthday or something like that. That's something I do quite often, actually. Speaking of Chain Reaction, favorite memory show performing there. Anaheim, Boys and Ray, still here. Favorite show, I don't know. I told the story in a walk and talk video, which is me driving actually about. No, I think I was walking actually in that one about the last time I played at Chain Reaction when the band did and Kevin Devine opened for us. That there was a couple in the very front row who must have been on ecstasy or something because they were just grinding on each other like groping and grinding and just really going at it and just feeling themselves, and the whole crowd started to part like around them because they didn't want to be so close to them, and they were right in front of me. And so I was faced with this sort of, I didn't know what to do. I just kept looking at Dustin and being like, are you seeing this? Because I didn't want to like call them out and like you know, ruin their date, but then at the same time, it was like, you guys are kind of making this weird for like everybody else. So that was an interesting time at Chain Reaction. All right, over on the Substack, do we have an actual question? The 25th anniversary of Eudora. It's interesting. The comp is really what got me into you guys. I know you hate that Motley Crue cover, but I think it's perfect. I mean, I think it's perfect in that it's so bad. It's But that's one of my favorite Motley Crue songs, and I did that vocal in one take because I know that song so well. I used to sing it in my bedroom all the time. So in that sense, it's like this beautiful, just sort of piece of shit that like I really love. It's kind of like an old beat up sweater. You know what I mean? That like you can't wear out of the house, or your favorite T-shirt that has all the holes in it that you can't wear out of the house anymore. That's what that cover is to me. That version of Ann Arbor also rocks. So that version of Ann Arbor is actually the same version of Ann Arbor, but with extra vocals in it, uh, which I don't think was technically legal because we re-recorded it to get out of our Doghouse contract, and we didn't actually re-record it. We just used the same instrumental track and then put new vocals on it, and then had James play piano and sing on it. Actually, it may even be the original vocal track, and it just has piano and harmonies on it as well as the original stuff. Do, 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 do. So yeah, and then they're just talking about the Ann Arbor thing. So okay. Do, 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 do. Sorry, Parks. More questions about Guilt Show. Guild Show has been a favorite of album of mine for a long time, but it didn't seem like it got played live much. So I looked it up and noticed you guys never played my favorite song. For fuck's sake, How Long Is Too Long? Okay, there's a song on Guilt Show called How Long Is Too Long, and I don't. It it gets requested all the time, and the band has literally never performed it live. It's just one of those ones. If you want to talk about a song that we didn't think was anything that people still ask about, that would be one of them because, it's just there. I don't have any fucking idea how to think. I think I remember the opening chords to it, but, we don't play a lot of songs off of Guilt Show anyway, but we've just never learned that song, so it just I don't know, it's kinda crazy. I think we just thought it was kind of a boring song, but I don't know. So you don't really have to convince me. You would have to convince everyone else in the band to play it. It keeps coming up because I'm the one who does these like live streams. But like, if you can convince everyone else to play it, then we would play it. Okay, you don't have to tell me. I do appreciate your input, but I'm aware that you like How Long Is Too Long. You don't have to keep telling me that. All right. Y'all still right with the dudes in Kofax. One of my favorite concerts was the Blue Note in Columbia with you and them on a Wire show. Oh, nice. I think it's the only time we ever played at the Blue Note in Columbia, which is a really cool, famous kind of old club. Yeah, Rob from Kofax is still a good friend of ours. He came out to our show. He lives in Los Angeles now, so he came out to our show in LA on what show was that? Was it on the Something Right Home About show? Where did we play in LA? We did the Troubadour a couple times. Oh, maybe did he come out to like the Glass House show? Shit, where did I see Rob at? Oh, that's man, it's been a minute. Uh yeah, Kofax, great band. I don't know what else to say about that, but yeah, I see Rob from time to time. Um I have a Summer Swallowed Us Whole tattoo, and it's my favorite one I've ever gotten. Have you seen any cool, weird Get Up Kids tattoos? Well, that's a new one. I don't know that that's weird. I think that the lyrics ones make a little bit more sense to me than the robots ones do, because I like the robots, but I don't know what they necessarily mean. At least like the lyrics, I know what it is that's like meaningful about it. You know, mine is of the snake. I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, but my Get Up Kids tattoo is of the snake that's on our Rocket from the Crypt split 7 inch. Some guy had "We're loyal like brothers" across his neck, and then some other guy had "I'm down for whatever" as a tramp stamp across his lower back. So those are two that were pretty interesting, I thought. And then I've seen a couple new AMS tattoos and one Terrible Twos tattoo actually, which was kind of interesting. Have any of your custom songs written for somebody else worked its way out to an album? One time on a solo record, and it was something that I did. I I don't know. I just haven't really had the desire to do that again. It seems sort of overly complicated to me because like once those songs that I write, the custom songs that I write, are so uniquely specific to the people that they're written for that they kind of cease to be my songs. Like I don't have any like real personal connection to them anymore. Um, so I just kind of like released them at that point. So I did it one time, but that was years and years and years ago. So can you tell me anything about Secular Theme? Well, I guess what would you like to know? Secular Theme was a band I was in high school that was a noise rock, Kansas City like noise rock band. I played guitar. I didn't know how to play guitar. We all wore Suits because we wanted to be the Nation of Ulysses really bad. And our singer Rob used to sing into a microphone that was a telephone handle that he had made into a microphone. And he now is a composer. Uh, and he did the soundtrack for the remake of the Candyman movies. So yeah, it was an interesting. It was sort of like a whirling dervish of a band. It was just sort of like this chaotic noise thing. You can find some of those songs online though. All right, you guys have played Sympathy live, right? Yes, we have played Sympathy live, and I on my book tour on the house shows sometimes I would play the song Sympathy because I think it works. It was written in like that kind of acoustic demo sort of format initially, and the I think it still kind of works. Do you still own your first guitar? No. My first guitar was probably from a thrift store, like some sort of like Les Paul you know, cheap knockoff thing. So I probably smashed it, to be honest. That was one of the secular theme things as far as like, smashing shit was not out of the ordinary for us. Uh any other questions right now? Oh, what did I just do? Uh I was gonna ask about so if you guys don't know, I opened a request line because I'm leaving for tour next week. So I'm going. We start in Phoenix and we make our way up the coast, and then back down into like Salt Lake City and Denver, and then it's off to the East Coast. And the tour is me and my oldest kid and my youngest kid, and we play about 12 songs together. And there's been some videos and some live streams of us playing together, and I'm going to put some more up too so you can hear it because it makes me very happy. I think it sounds really good. But then the back half of the set, the rest of the songs that I'm going to play, I was taking requests, or I am taking requests. And so I put out another email about it today. If you are signed up for a Substack as a subscriber, or if you sign up for the mailing list on my webpage, which is mattpryorandthesaltandseed.com, then you'll get these emails. And I started this request line, which is basically like a Google Doc, but you can put in what show you're coming to and what song you want to hear. And then also there's a space where you can kind of write about like why you want me to play that particular song or like what it means to you necessarily. And there are some parameters. I don't want to do any covers. And this isn't a Get Up Kids tour. This is just stuff. As much as I love playing those songs, that's not what this tour is. It's, um, you know, stuff from my solo work and the New Amsterdams and that kind of stuff. So, uh, yeah. But so I've been getting a lot of requests, and so I'm kind of trying to figure out. I need to make time to practice them some of these requests because some of them are deep cuts. So I was thinking about maybe doing some other like just live streams. Like I do this every Monday, which is more of a Q&A. It's an AMA. Like I don't end up playing that many songs on these, even though I used to. So I was thinking about doing some where it was like, here are some requests from Phoenix, and then like playing some songs that were requested in Phoenix. But you can go uh I think the easiest way to find the request line thing is to go to my Substack. It's in an older post, and I'll post another link to it. I guess I'll probably do that tonight after I get off with you guys. I'll post a link to the request line, and you can put stuff in. But you do need to come to the show to hear the requests. So I hope that you do that. That would be great. Okay. Looks like people have been chatting. Tell me anything about your theme. I answered that already. Let me favorite photo in the Something at Home About Anniversary LP. Oh fuck, I don't know. I don't even remember what was it. That stuff. Uh, what I did think was interesting was when we did that layout for the Something at Home About uh kind of booklet. Was that I was able to remember where a lot of those clubs were because I don't know why. I have a really good memory for the first 3 years of the band's touring career, and then after that, everything kind of turns into a blur. So I don't know that I have a favorite photo. Probably not one of me. But how far out were you guys asked to play the Jimmy shows? Monumental tour announcement with great lineups in each city. Well, we got asked sometime last year to play the shows with them in the UK. And then I don't know, a couple months ago, it got brought up that they were going to maybe do some stuff in the States. And they asked if we were available for any of them. And we said we were. And then they just picked the ones that we could do. So, I mean, it's not really that interesting. It's just that's just the way these things work. Y'all are saying you have imposter syndrome. I hope you see how your work affects all of us. You cite or no, you sir. I'm assuming you said you cite no imposter. Thank you. I appreciate that. Logically, I know that you're right. I know that I know that I'm good at what I do, and I know that it makes me happy, and I hope it makes other people happy too. But that doesn't mean that my depression or my imposter syndrome or my anxiety listen to reason. And so sometimes it flares up for no reason. I think, or maybe there is for a reason. Like I think I get into this headspace currently where it's like, oh, nobody's going to come to these shows. Oh, woe is me, or whatever. And the fact of the matter is, it kind of doesn't matter because it's sort of like I'm going to go play these shows, and I always take the attitude of like it doesn't matter if there's 5 people there or 5,000 people there. I need to like put on the best performance that I can. But if I let myself, I can get into my own head about, the only thing you can really like base your quote unquote success on is like numbers and in this business. But, that's why I don't think about things like hits or like someone was asking about like songs that were hits before. But the I try not to think about those things. I try to think about just like making things that make me happy. And that seems to put the imposter syndrome at bay. Also, just being creative. Uh, like if I'm feeling really down, I saw someone online say that creativity was the antidote to anxiety, and I don't know if that's true for everybody, but it definitely has been for me. And so, yeah, my imposter syndrome. Logically, I know I'm not an imposter, but emotionally, it still creeps up from time to time. And that's normal. It happens to everybody, including, people who are even more successful than me. Yeah, I got the user part. What's your relationship to Jimmy Eat World? Does it go a ways back or just make for a good tour? We've known Jimmy Eat World since about 1996 because they used to tour with some friends of ours from Kansas City called Boys Life. And then the first time we ever toured with Jimmy Eat World was in 1997, and we did about 2 weeks worth of shows on the East Coast, um, playing some interesting places in the winter that we shouldn't have played in the winter, like Flint, Michigan. And so, yeah, we've known those guys for forever. I'll be at all 4 shows you're opening. Can't wait. Huh? Well, I'll be at all 4 shows we're opening as well. So I'll see you there. Do you plans to do a Where's the Band tour? There's nothing on the books currently to do a Where's the Band tour because the logistics of it have always been kind of a nightmare. And because you're trying to get uh 4 to 5 people who have full-time other jobs together, at the same time to perform. And then the last one that we did, which was going on 10 years ago now, was ended up kind of chaotic. So it just hasn't really come up. I hope you don't mind me asking about song meanings. What is break lines about? uh, well, okay. On full disclosure, I guess. So break lines is a song off of the last Get Up Kids album, which is an album called Problems. And the song is about, uh, at the time I had gotten some scary diagnoses in relation to like my diabetes management and like heart like what's the word blood pressure kind of stuff, and so it was just a scary time, and I was sort of thinking about death a lot, and is it was sort of like the idea. So break lines is sort of like a metaphor for you know uh I guess the only way to put it is to be like choosing to like assisted suicide is what it would be, because it would be like choosing that if you are terminal and you don't want to do this, or if you're dying, that you should you know have that opportunity, and telling someone you love them, and that kind of stuff. So it's one of those songs that's sort of like morbid but positive at the same time, because it's kind of a love song that is also about death, and then it's wrapped inside of this like really up tempo fast sort of punk pop song. So the juxtaposition of those things I think is really interesting, but it's not a sad song and it's not a suicidal song. It's just sort of about those thoughts entering into your head, not actively having suicidal ideations. And again, I feel the need to say that if you are feeling that way, that you should please seek help. But um, that's what that song's about. Kind of makes me uncomfortable to talk about now that I think about it, especially because I wrote that when I was still drinking, which is maybe a little darker than it needed to be. But okay. Uh, I got Red Rocks, Ticks. What a lineup. Need some advice. St. Louis on 3/12. Do I go to Lucero, Nobody's Darling Anniversary Show, or Hot Rod Circuit? You want me to make a decision about what show you should go to? I mean, those are both good options. Can you go to both? Because I mean, Hot Rod Circuit's some of my best friends from way back, but Lucero is really good as well. So I think maybe you should try to do both. I think that would be my best advice. Are there B-sides that you released out in the world that are hard to find, maybe on imports or something? For Get Up Kids, there are B-sides that were like on compilations and international versions of albums that I don't think are hard to find. You can usually find them on YouTube. Um, all of the stuff that I've done, solo or New Amsterdams, you can find on my Bandcamp for the most part. Anything that I've released. There's a collection of New Amsterdam's demos. There's some outtakes from Killed or Cured. There's a companion EP record I did called Mayday. So that would be you can find actually a ton of shit of mine on my Bandcamp page, which you can find through the link in my bio. Um, Send us a saying it's a fantastic Get a Kids B side. Well, I will tell Jim that you said that. He will be very happy. Um, I I always like that song too, and I believe it has my only guitar solo I've ever done, and it's on slide guitar, which I am not good at slide guitar or guitar solos in general. So that would be the magic of Ed Rose if that guitar solo sounds good at all. So I'm a little uncomfortable that I was so open about what Break Lines was about. So I'm just gonna have to sit with that. Uh Sometimes you write music and you think that the lyrics are so obtuse that no one understands what your songs are about, and then you tell people what they're about and you feel like you come across really morbid. Any plans for new music with the New Amsterdams? No. The New Amsterdams have been put to rest. I still play the New Amsterdam songs in my set. I've rearranged several of them. with Lillian Jersey. We're doing from California. We're doing Idaho. We're doing fuck. Has anyone seen my wings? We're doing Strangled by the Thought, stuff like that. Uh, How long have you been sober? I have been sober for just about 3 years. It'll be February 28th is my sobriety birthday, and I will be at Pappy and Harriet's on that night in Pioneer Town, California, which is a very interesting. If you've never been to Pappy and Harriet's, if you're going to go to any show on this particular tour, I would recommend going there. It's very much a destination sort of place. It's kind of out by Joshua Tree. But yeah, so I've been sober for about 3 years. Any new recipes for savory steel cut oats? Okay, so um I got really into eating steel cut oats, and I don't really like sweet things because as a diabetic, like weaned myself off of too many like sweet things just because it's hard for me to like calculate my blood sugar, how much insulin I need to take. So I got really into savory steel cut oats. So it's just like oats, but you treat it like a risotto, and so you put like cheese. So what I like to do is, steel cut oats and then some sort of like stock, vegetable stock, chicken stock, homemade chicken stock or pork stock, like for ramen. Put that in the slow cooker, and then I add flax seeds and chia seeds for extra fiber. And then when the oats are done, I add some protein powder and some spinach and hot sauce. And then if I'm really not worrying too much about, because you're getting up to around 500 calories at that point. So if I'm not 400 calories, I might add some Parmesan cheese to it or some cheddar cheese to sort of like make it creamier. But that's a good go-to breakfast, especially if you're going to go do a workout, because it's like good slow acting carbs that like, release slowly. Just hit 5 years sober. Hey, sweet. Congratulations. Congrats on 3 years. Thank you very much. Uh, Outroduction is some of the best New Am songs, and was surprised to find out the album was Leftovers. What was it about some of those songs that made them not work on the previous albums? So there's I don't know. There's sometimes things just don't feel finished, and there were three songs from the New Amsterdams have a record called At the Foot of My Rival, and there were three songs that were real country sounding, like even more so than like just like straight country. There's a song called X's and O's, a song called Guitar Can Saw that's an actual instrumental with pedal steel and picking and grinning sort of guitars, like Telecaster guitar stuff. And so I made those into an EP that was called The Companion of My Rival. And I kind of got lost in the sauce a bit as far as like compartmentalizing things by genre, I guess, during that time, where it was like this felt like it was too country, or this felt like it was too rock for an acoustic record, or this, that, and the other. And I realize now that that's sort of ridiculous, but at the time, it sort of made sense to me. And so the last proper New Amsterdam's record is At the Foot of My Rival. And I wanted to put something out to just sort of put you know, tie a bow around the end of the New Amsterdams, because I was moving away from my solo stuff being a band and just embracing the uncomfortable nature of just going by your own name and just being a solo artist. And it's this thing about like I don't know if you can see all these tubs behind me, but they're all full of merch, and it's all t-shirts and shit that have just my name on it, which is just really awkward. And it was something that I avoided for a long time, which is why I came up with a band name like the New Amsterdams. And it I just felt like it was something I needed to do, because I just needed to like embrace just being myself. And so that then like bleeds into like, this isn't what you asked me, but that sort of like bleeds into things like this, where I'm just like talking and telling you how I feel about things. But yeah, Outroduction's got some cool stuff on it. That was the name of this sort of like odds and ends New Am's record that has some really great stuff on it. There's a song called "Stand Here and Bleed" that I think is one of my favorite sort of like just solo acoustic songs with harmonica. It could have been on "Per Tota Vida" probably, even though it was written 5 years after that. But so there you go. How'd you all end up in that Pixies cover album? So many good bands, and the covers are really good. I mean, somebody asked us. I don't even remember. I don't remember who put that record out. Was it on Doghouse? I don't remember who put that together. I just know that we jumped at the chance because the Pixies are one of my favorite bands, and we got to do Alec Eiffel, which is a fucking complicated song if you ever try to actually play it. Is the Curb Appeal label active at all? No, it went out of business. Curb Appeal was the label that Jim and my former manager started that put out, excuse me, that put out a couple of New Amps records but it doesn't exist anymore. And so now those records are just on my Night Shoes is the name of my record label. And that's what my last record, The Salton Sea, that came out in November, that's what that's on, is on Night Shoes. Night Shoes Syndicate, actually. Let's see. My own reflection, being a song that has two lives, solo on a split 7-inch and then again on a Get Up Kids EP, what factors typically determine where a song you write ends up? So that song is one of the only songs that has two lives like that, because usually if something I write and release as a solo thing, it just isn't, it's just not even considered to be uh, a Get Up Kid song. Uh, Another example would be I did this split 7-inch with James that's available online only, and there's a song on there called "Failing You" that I thought would make a really good Get Up Kid song, but it was just like it wasn't even considered because it was just like this already exists somewhere else, which I understand. It is fine. There's plenty of other songs to write. But so my own reflection, because it was an acoustic song that ended up on a 7-inch that only had like 500 copies, I think, maybe even less than that. It was like very limited edition. It was sort of like treated like it wasn't actually released previously. I think that's how that worked out. Or they forgot that I had put it out again. Is there any reason Never You Mind original recordings were never released on vinyl? Those recordings are so haunting and awesome. So when Never You Mind, which is the first New Amsterdam's record, came out in 2000, in the year 2000, though if you can believe it, that was when everyone was saying that vinyl was dead. And so nobody bought vinyl anymore and it was never coming back and yada, yada, yada. So the only reason the Get Up Kids records ended up being on pressed on vinyl is because we were popular enough and we could command enough, we could demand that they were, and so they would do like limited vinyl runs of stuff because the punk rock kind of underground vinyl scene never really went away, but it wasn't like they were selling LPs in Target, because this was like 99 2000s, like the height of like Tower Records, like 1899 CDs and stuff. So those never got released on vinyl, and then now I just don't own the rights to them. Like there's no interest from the label to put them out on vinyl, and I don't own the rights to them, so it would be cost prohibitive for me to license the rights and then press them onto vinyl and then release them. So what I did for Never You Mind is for the 25th anniversary of that record, I re-recorded it and like reimagined it as a Matt Pryor record as a solo record, and you can order that now on LP. You can only get it from my web store and from coming to see me perform. So either one of those is encouraged to come out to one of the coming shows or to buy it from my web store. If you go to the link in the bio, um, just look under songs or store. Actually, no, look under store, and you can get the LP. I like that record, but I really like the kind of like new version of it because it's just very minimalist and it's just sort of it sort of like strips the songs down to like there's no like filler around it in a weird sort of way. I don't know. It makes me I really enjoy it. So oh, you already have it. So I'm trying to sell you on a record that you already have, but I appreciate you buying it. Thank you very much, my dude. Um, wow, time has flown by. Okay, so question time. I'm thinking about doing another one of these, or two or three of just songs from the request line uh, throughout the next week or so, because the tour is starting in a week, and I would really like to both draw more attention to the fact that the tour is coming up in a week, and to also rehearse the songs that have been requested, because really I've only been rehearsing the songs that I'm playing with the kids right now. I haven't really like spent a whole lot of time digging deep into the war chest to like figure out the songs I'm going to play during the request part of the set. So give me a thumbs up if that is something that you'd be interested in. The other thing is if you are on Substack, I'm assuming you've seen my latest Substack. I've been doing these New Amsterdam's like deep dives of different songs. This week it was The Spoils of the Spoiled, which is a song about well, it's about touring and kind of observing like the professional touring life. But one of the things that I talked about in that essay was that I don't know what people think that song is about, because kind of like songs like Action in Action, sort of a slice of life stream of consciousness thing that's just sort of like it makes sense to me in my head as far as that's what I was thinking about at the time that it was being written. But it's a lot of little things that are happening that I'm referencing, and not like one big subject matter. Like it's not like writing a song about like, oh, I'm going through a breakup, and so the whole song is about that breakup. It's more like I've got a lot of things on my mind. I don't think I have ADHD, but it wouldn't surprise me if I ended up with a diagnosis like that, where I'm thinking about a lot of things constantly all the time. And those are what those sort of songs are about. Just sort of like, you know, it's like when you do one of those writing exercises where you just like put your pen to paper and you just write and whatever comes out, and then you wrote a whole song about it. And so that's kind of what Spoils is about too. So I was always kind of curious as to um, what people thought the that song was about. So uh thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Uh cool. Well, okay, I got thumbs up, so that's positive. The okay, a couple more questions and then I'm gonna go, because this has been cool. This is every Monday night. Next Monday night, yeah, will be the last one before I leave for tour, because I'll be leaving Tuesday for the first show on Thursday in Phoenix. But there's a show at Permanent Records in LA, which is on a Monday night, the following Monday, which I don't know if I can do an AMA and a show in the same day, at least not at this time of night. So we'll see how that goes. But last couple of questions. Will you be selling vinyls of your Paratota Vita re-record at your show? I haven't re-recorded Paratota Vita yet. It's on the docket for 2026, because that record turns 25 in 2027. That, let's see, let me rephrase that better. It's on the docket for me to record it this year, because next year that record turns 25 and I want to put something out. But I'm at a bit of a loss of how to do it, because that record is just stripped down solo acoustic. And so I don't want to re-record it exactly the same way as the original record, but I'm not sure in what incarnation I want to record it in. So I'm trying to figure that out. If you have any thoughts, I would appreciate the input, but I can't guarantee that I will do what you ask. And I feel dumb asking, but are you doing any signings before and after your show? Uh, yeah, I'll just be at the merch table. Uh, I'll be at the merch table usually before the show and definitely after the show. Logistically speaking, I probably won't be there like right at doors. I'll probably be getting some dinner. But my kids' band, Small Uncle, is performing. They're the first band on the bill, so I'll be at the merch table when they're playing. So you want to check them out anyway. And then I will definitely be at the merch table after my set once I have a chance to go to the bathroom because it's usually, you're standing up there for an hour. We're So Thin makes the cut. Yes. Just finished your audiobook. Incredible. Thank you very much. Do you still have your record label? I couldn't find Heroes and Villains online. I have a record label called Night Shoes Syndicate. Heroes and Villains got bought out by Vagrant Records about 15 years ago. So that all exists through the Vagrant BMG uh, parental unit. What if you re-recorded a Paratoad Vita Reimagined with the Salt and Sea Band? Huh. Well, Matthew, that is an interesting thought. I hadn't thought about it that way. Anyway, I'll have to think about that. That's an interesting idea. So Monday night, I'll see you next Monday night, and I'll keep you posted about doing some streams on just doing the songs to warm up. So look for those this week. The first show probably like Wednesday or Thursday is probably when the best times to do that is. Probably Wednesday. Oh, fuck, I don't know. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But until then, everybody have a good night. Stay safe. And take care of each other. And I hope that you come back next Monday. And I hope that you come to the shows. And if you want to chit chat some more there, we can do that too. Take care. Love you guys. Bye.